men, we haven't developed how to surrender very well in our life. That's more of a woman, like women have developed that over time in a better way than we have. And cold plunging, like you said, these tough guys that the tough guy video of like, I'm going to suffer through it. You're hurting yourself. You're not, there's a net negative there. Sure, you did it once. You're going to feel good. Your norepinephrine is going to fire off. You're going to feel, but overall, your nervous system, you're not regulating, and it's a net negative. And the whole point is, how do you surrender? How do you get your heart rate down? How do you calm yourself into this experience? You want to heighten, like Mark says, I'm going to die. How do you and bring that whole system? You're fine. Breathe into this, surrender. And the cold is one of the greatest surrendering tools that are out there. It's just a lot of, and it will beat you. And when I say it will get you to surrender, or you'll just stop doing it. Like you have to, there's no other option there, because you'll it'll ruin your immune system. It'll ruin your nervous system. Like you need to learn how to surrender inside the water.
I really love that. I don't think I've ever heard you say that. Have you described this before, or did that just come through right now?
I've always looked at it as like a surrender tool. I've probably maybe said it in different ways.
Yeah.
But I see it. Witnessing men and women have their experience, and this is a generalization on the sex, but just in general for people. Like it's more of a personality, like people that cling on to it and like, I'm going to get through it in 30 more seconds. It's like, you've lost the plot. Yeah. Like, and sure, it maybe, I don't want to discredit that. There are just like maybe that was so hard and you just got through that, and that's a big win for you. Yeah. There's a win there. But if we're talking consistently, you have this at your house, you're doing this every single day. Anyone that does it consistently, you want to know how I know they do it consistently? They don't tell you how long or what their temperature is, because that's not important anymore, because it's their own personal journey. It's when someone that's just did it, you go 10 minutes for 38 degrees. Oh, got it. Got it. It's a new practice for you. Someone that has a relationship to it and consistent to it, doesn't matter the temp, doesn't matter the time. They just drop in. They can get there. They have their own practice. There's nothing to overcompensate for it. And they've learned how to kind of surrender into their own experience.
It's the same thing with psychedelics.
100%.
When someone's integrated wisdom from any kind of entheogen, they don't have to have a megaphone to preach it out. They just are. They've embodied it. Yep. I love how you said that, because anytime we're learning something that's giving us this new stimulus where there's perceived growth, we have a tendency as human beings to get out of the lesson and pretend like we've already learned it, or be so stoked about the new thing that we want to share it with everyone else. But I think we can all feel in our stomach, like in our enteric nervous system, that so-and-so hasn't quite yet embodied the lesson there. And so when this person you're describing is like 38 degrees for 15 minutes, I think the reason we feel repelled by that is because it feels like a flex. In the same way where, like, the joke, how do you know if somebody's vegan or CrossFit? Don't worry, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
I think what this is a call for is deep spiritual growth. And I look at everything through a lens of spirituality, because it's one of the 5 sides of the Pentagon on the Mike flag. If one of those are leaking, then they're going to pull from another one. And it's this coherence of the 5 sides of us, or at least the 5 sides of self, being nourished on a regular basis that allows us to show up and actually be inspiring to someone else. Mm-hmm. Like I talked to you, I was asking you about your relationship. Like, I like to go deep, whatever, that's who I am. I don't shy away from it, because I want to feel somebody's essence. How are they managing all the 5 sides of themselves? Because then I can really trust the advice they give.
Yeah.
And so when I talk to you and I ask you questions, okay, here's a fit man. He's in a great relationship. He's leading a company. He's on purpose. He has a connection to God. Like, the 5 sides are built and they're feeding one another. But in its total learning, have you ever been completely lopsided where like one of those was really full and it was sucking from another one? Because that's what I felt. And I think all of us feel that way at certain times. That's why life is a continuum. Was there ever a time in your life where one side of the Pentagon was pulling from another?
I think they've all been fed in their own ways. I just think their life has seasons, and in your framework that you just said there, those 5 sides, Some will overcompensate at other times. And it's just like, and then it's like, oh, I need to, like right now, I would say probably the side that is neglected the most is my spirituality. Just where relationship, a lot of effort and time put in there.
Yeah.
Business, a lot of effort and time put in there. Physical health, a lot of effort and time put into there. How I engage with spirituality, there's just more intentional effort that needs to be put there right now. And I'm like aware of it. And it's like, okay, cool. And I'll go, that's whatever great. The next window of time will look like, I'll go down those steps and then it might get overinflated there. And so I think for me, again, it's been for sure, man. I remember when I opened Capital Floats, you talk about the physical side. I was a wreck. I had completely lost touch of, I couldn't wake up in the morning. My neck and body were so bad, like just from stress and not doing the tools. I'm opening this holistic health, spiritual wellness center, and I'm not doing anything that goes a part of it. I was giving off smells in my body that my family was like, dude. And I'm like, I am wearing deodorant. And it was just like stress mechanism beyond belief. So that was a time that was like, once that business opened, I went full back in. How do I get my spiritual side? Both of those were fully neglected. Business got open. I was so focused there. Then I went and focused on that. So, I think to me, it's more the framework. How do we check in with ourselves to know if and be honest that there is like a neglected or I actually want to improve this a little bit right now.
What's that check-in process for you like? Is it a notepad? Is it an app? Is it family and friends? Because, in business, I love how you said the marketplace is the ultimate barometer for truth. For me, the ultimate barometer for truth is, do my family and friends and team like being around me? In other words, can I tell that they're enjoying my presence? And I'm pretty keen to that too. I think it was being raised by a bipolar mom and being bullied in school. I'm just very situationally aware. But that's my barometer is, can I tell that the people around me are having a good time with me? And if not that I need to please them, but what can I change about my way of being, or what's lacking in me that gets to be filled so that somebody enjoys my presence even more? That's been a continuous barometer.
I really like that.
It's a bit ambiguous, but I know it in my heart. Do you have one for you, like a barometer check of how you're doing?
I think through to, it's more of I attach it to real senses of gratitude. Is that coming up consistently? Am I in awe of some random? For me, did the wind stop me in my tracks? Something like that, where it's oh man, do I have enough of those signals showing up?
Yeah.
Have I cried recently? Those are kind of things that, and again, maybe I'm over-indexing laughing or something, but am I checking in with those? Am I feeling that stuff that's, I guess, my barometer? Is it a true framework, journaled out? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's definitely kind of felt through.
Have you ever explored some of James Clear's work, Atomic Habits, or delved in that world at all?
I know kind of the premise. I have not read his book, stacking the habits and bringing things into areas that you're already going on a good path. How do you stack that on top of it? And I absolutely, that is something that's been a framework. And I think, again, I'll bring it back to Cold Plunging. It's that's just a tool. It's these it's we're all playing bowling, and the more bumpers you have, the better your score is going to be.
Yeah.
And how do you actually work in bumpers to life? And sometimes those bumpers you got to build momentum. You got to actually go make that happen. And that's when it's really hard, but those are the ones that become the most fortified. And, cold plunging is that thing, having your physical workout. What's that look like? Your routines become big bumpers. They can also become chains, to be in. So there's a fluidity and a flexibility to all this. So
yeah, it's you can get up in the morning and have a coffee and a donut and check your phone in the first 10 minutes. That's a habit. That's a routine.
Totally.
Is it going to produce long-term peace? Nope. But it's a habit.
And then the flip is sometimes I could have the perfect 2-hour morning routine, but your partner needs you that day. Your business needs you 2 hours early. Are you gonna make the bigger upside decision and not let your routine get in the way? And I think there's a It's just like an honesty to what the moment's calling for.
Yes.
And
But this feels like maturity. It feels like maturity, and it can only be lived through life experience. Like, no knock to young 20-year-olds. I was one once. Remember those days, man? Your early 20s? I look at a lot of that generation, and there's some really cool markers of improvement. Like, I don't know if you've seen the research about young men, especially, not drinking as much or not going to clubs as much and doing things like cold plunge or workouts or hiking groups. Like, we're seeing a big shift in awareness, which I love. And there's still these hooks that modernity has, just almost like a Venus flytrap, man.
If you love that video, you'll love the one on the screen right now. Click the one on the screen and enjoy.